Welcome back to our final segment of We're Just Saying. I'm Senator Vickie Sawyer, and we're streaming live on WSICnews.com, social media like YouTube, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. I want to thank those who are listening on the radio as well as our live stream viewers. We have a treat for everyone up here next. We have Scott Lassiter, who was also just came off of a really tough primary win out of the Wake County area. But before we invite him to the show, let me give you a little background. He is the Senate candidate for District 13. That is Wake, which means Raleigh, Charlotte. Yes, we're having a Wake County person on a Charlotte show. I get it. But anyway, so he is a lifelong Wake County resident. He also is a public school assistant principal. And he currently serves countywide as the soil and water for Wake County. He previously served 4 years on the Apex Town Council before his election to his current post of the Wake County Soil and Water District. He's been involved in all sorts of community events, and especially, well, not really events, but I'm stumbling over HOA president because, my Lord, I think that's way harder than being a senator, is being HOA president. But I do want to welcome to the show Scott Lassiter. Scott, thank you for taking some time out on your Friday to introduce yourself to our listening audience.
Senator Sawyer, it's so wonderful to be here, and thanks for letting me on the airwaves in the great state of Mecklenburg.
You're welcome.
I really do love radio, and one of the things that I've enjoyed most sort of about my time in service, I was able to co-host the afternoon news on WPTF here in Raleigh for a few months until we started this campaign. And then, there's some restrictions around what you can do on the public airwaves. But I love this format, and I'm so thankful to be here this afternoon. And you gave me a great introduction. I will say, you say the HOA words, and that's almost like a swear word.
It is.
We've got. I need to preface that with saying we have a voluntary HOA.
Okay.
So we have a very limited government HOA. How about that? That's the only way I'd be president.
No, I was just saying it as a word of admiration, because what a thankless job. And, you are with your friends and neighbors, and sometimes your neighbors don't become your unfriended as an HOA president. So
absolutely. Yeah, that prepared me for a primary.
Yeah. Right? We'll talk about that. You had a pretty heavy primary that you just got out of. You had a candidate that you had won and actually handedly, but now you're ready to go into the fall. So tell us about what happened in the primary. And actually, before we do that, tell our listening audience about your district, because a lot of us Charlotteans don't really make it up to Wake County. So brag on your district a little bit before we get into the meats and potatoes.
Well, yes. It's it's a district I've lived in, or my family's lived in for probably close to 100 years now. And Southern Wake County is really an interesting place. This district includes some areas of Apex, Cary, all of Fuquay, some of Holly Springs, Willow Springs. This is sort of outside the Beltline, Wake County. And the folks here are truly in a situation where they're trying to merge the sort of new growth, the new development with a history and heritage, a heritage that goes back to agriculture, a heritage that goes back to sort of being sleepy suburban towns that are now seeing themselves become more than just bedroom communities. So it really is a dynamic district. That's a great way to describe it. We've got a highly educated population here, a sort of family income that is higher than the average in the state. This is a district that is just, I'm so proud to call home, but I also recognize has some growing pains, like any developing area. So that's sort of where we are. Think Southern Wake County.
Sounds very similar to the district that I represent. We're outside of the Beltline of the Charlotte City, but yet I do have that same. So we really do have kind of a similar district there. Now, we touched on a little bit of your professional background, but my goodness, another tough job, assistant principal to public school?
A public alternative middle school. And yes, I did pick that. I wasn't sent here as punishment.
Okay. Wow.
I've been a high school history teacher previously, middle school history, social studies teacher, and then went into administration. Did night school at North Carolina Central and was the assistant principal at a comprehensive large large middle school in northern Wake County, in the Raleigh area, and then got an opportunity to make a career change, and we saw a need. The school system put out a sort of a proposal and was looking for administrators to come and found an alternative school for our students that had been recommended for suspension out of their regular middle schools across the whole county. So it is obviously a tough job, but it's a tremendously rewarding job. And we instill a lot of discipline. We instill a lot of hope, a lot of optimism. We give these students, we take away excuses and really hold them to high expectations. And it's amazing to see some of these young people that have made some really poor decisions previously get it together. And I've been doing it long enough. This is my 7th year at this school, and we're starting to see them come back in their military uniforms. We're starting to see them come back and announce their acceptance to college. So I'm really glad I stuck with it. And you know, it is working, but it's a lot of common sense that goes into this. I wish I could tell you there was some secret. It's just hard work, and it's just expectations for these young people. And they really have my heart. So that's my professional background. And in the midst of that, I've stayed involved in public service. And that's really what I feel like, Senator Sawyer. Any of us that are doing these jobs for the right reason, we think of ourselves as public servants. I sort of cringe up when I hear the term politician, you know. And people say, well, you ran for public office. You were obviously a politician. I don't think about it.
I know. I always love those commercials that say, I'm not a politician. And I'm like, dude, as soon as you put your name on the ballot, you're a politician. I hate to tell you that.
Let me pretend, please.
I know. I'm kidding. I am right there with you. I'm even worse. I guess they can consider me an establishment politician. So we got to be careful with that.
Yeah. I know. If that means you never know what that really means. No. Right? If it means you've held office before, you're educated, does that make you a stat? I don't know.
I don't know either.
You're reasonable.
Now, so you talked about your background and that you do have this public servant's heart and that you now have put your name on the ballot for the North Carolina State Senate. But tell folks in the listening audience, this is a really tough district. I mean, it's a hard district. It could go either way. So tell folks about the political makeup of your district, and then also tell folks about your pathway to victory in the fall, if you could.
Sure. So it is a true toss-up district, and it's one of a handful of those. I feel good considering what the sort of macro level political scene looks like in this country right now. There's a lot of dissatisfaction, but this is a district that has about 2,000 more Republicans than Democrats, but also has about 66,000 unaffiliated voters. And those are folks that have sort of turned their back on politics as usual. They're not identifying with a particular party. They're hardworking people, career folks that are, like I say, are just sort of disgusted with the politics as usual. So tapping into that vote's extremely important. And I think from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what I've been dealing with on the ground, those are people that are tired of the divisive rhetoric. They're excited about problem sort of focused candidates that are there to sort of solve problems instead of just scream the loudest. And that's always difficult to get through a primary and maintain your electability with unaffiliated. So I'm proud of the race that I ran and was able to do that. You know, there's a tendency on both sides during the primary to sort of run to the extremes to shore up your base. And I was able to maintain a nuanced political campaign here where I can't say, Senator Sawyer, that one side is 100% right and the other side is 100% wrong. And I think you know that very well from representing a similar district. There is room in the middle that most of us spend most of our time in, and there's a lot of agreement. Now, there's some divisive issues and some issues that I am excited about taking a principled stand on, but I also understand, and my time in municipal government, in the public school system, people just want you to do the job at the end of the day, and the label matters a little less. So that's sort of the political makeup there. We're really focused on using my strengths and playing to my strengths. I'm a believer in that. When it comes to education, after Senator Tillman retired, there was there's a dearth in educational administrators in in the caucus.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about what I can bring, that perspective there.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the sort of agricultural understanding from my time as a soil and water supervisor and the environmental understanding, and then that municipal sort of government experience and understanding how to govern in a growing area, which this district is, and so is the whole state. And it's a great problem to have. We're a wonderful state. We're attracting a lot of folks.
Right. I'm glad you said that, because I know that we hear a lot of growing pains about growth, but gosh, I'd rather have the growing pains than being faced like some other districts are in our area that are losing population. But we only have a few moments left. So I want folks to learn about you and tell them your webpage and your social medias, and how can they find more about you and help support your campaign?
Absolutely. And we're going to need it, frankly. So I encourage folks to visit votescottlassiter.com. We've got some really well built out policy positions there. A lot of focus on transparency and accountability when it comes to government money. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X. Just check out. Mm-hmm. Obviously, just put in Scott Lassiter there, or Scott Lassiter for NC Senate. You'll find those things. I'm always welcome a conversation. Would love to hear from folks. Part of being an educator is recognizing that there's always something to learn. Yeah. And I really do feel, recognize I'm a lifelong learner. Okay. And recognize, if I'm fortunate enough to serve in the Senate, as a freshman, there'll be an awful lot that I have to learn. So I'll be relying on you, Senator.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you so much, Scott Lassiter, for calling in. And thank you, listening audience, for tuning in to We're Just Saying. We'll be back next week with some more exciting candidates. Have a great weekend.